All right.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the School of Business. This is our ProfessionalQuest event. This is ProfessionalQuest Tech and Business. So we're excited. We have a wonderful panel for you. If you have any questions, please send them through the chat and we'll make sure the moderator gets them. And I'm going to turn it over to Professor Huang, who's going to moderate our panel. And thank you very much for attending. And thank you very much to our panelists.
Welcome all. It's a fantastic opportunity that have, we have three speakers here and we have students here. So I think that's a fantastic opportunity for students if they are looking for a career internship or just want to hear about some experience of our three guests, how they transition from student to a professional and successful in their career. So I would like to ask, any volunteer of our three guests to start. Introduce yourself and your organization, and if you want to share some of the experience from, from the transition from students to, business professional, so to speak.
Sure, I'll go first. So yeah, I guess I'll just do a short introduction and then sort of explain. So I have a non-traditional path, so hopefully this helps some of your students. So so first, as an introduction, so Vernon Weisenberg, I'm a principal director in what Microsoft calls our Azure Space and Mission Technology division. So I'm the engineering vertical lead for all of our cloud regions that support the Department of Defense. And I'm responsible for the delivery of basically all of our Azure capabilities that support the full spectrum of Defense Department mission needs, everywhere from our hyperscale clouds to our hybrid cloud implementation. Prior to joining Azure, I spent about 20 plus years as a senior technical advisor to senior defense leadership leaders in both systems integrators and within the defense agencies themselves. I currently have a BS in computer science. I sit on the Virginia Innovation and Technology Executive Committee, and I've authored several articles on cloud and data applications use in defense technology. So enough about me. I guess what makes my path, so from student to technologist to senior business leader, more interesting is I didn't actually finish college the first time around. I didn't go to college to do tech. So I'll cover that maybe in a later question. But so my first attempt at college, I lasted through my freshman and part of my sophomore year. I left. And then I did not actually return to college, unfortunately, until about 3 years ago to finish up my degree. So I went right from leaving college to working some different jobs to sort of being a technologist. And yeah, so it's been an interesting sort of path for me. I didn't actually intend to get into tech to start. I intended to work anything but tech. And unfortunately or fortunately, it happened to be something that I was good at after I got out of school, and sort of fell into some opportunities to do tech consulting, different tech types jobs, and then was able to do some consulting work for some interesting Department of Defense projects that let me build some skill sets in some very interesting areas. That let me sort of combine my engineering skills with some subject matter expertise that let me, I'll say, over the past 25 years, build up both sides of that to where, 4 years ago, I was able to take a senior role inside of Microsoft, leading an engineering organization that is solely focused on providing technology solutions, and mostly within the hyperscale cloud to the U.S. Department of Defense and all of our defense partners. So, and I'll stop there and let other people have a chance to introduce themselves.
I can go next, Professor, if you'd like.
Thank you and welcome to the panel.
Thank you. Yeah, so my name is Raed Hamad. I am a director of cybersecurity services and consulting at CGI Federal, which is, if you've been around Fairfax, you probably have seen one of our buildings in the Fair Lakes area. We're pretty, our headquarters is in Fair Lakes. A lot of our buildings are in Fairfax County. I am a GMU grad. I graduated almost 25 years ago now from GMU, from the business school. So I imagine I probably walked a very similar path as some of your students are starting right now. I knew I wanted to get into technology only because it was hot and people were getting a lot of job offers back in the late 90s. There was a thing called Y2K and everybody was going after, IT jobs. I knew I wasn't technical enough to be a computer science major. And then there was this thing called decision science and management information systems that the business school was offering. And so I moved over and finished my degree in DMIS at Mason. I actually used these similar career services that you guys are using right now through the career services at George Mason to find my first job out of college. I kind of lucked into getting into cybersecurity. It wasn't really a thing back 25 years ago. Kind of what was interesting, and I've talked to a couple of people right now, like job fairs and things like that, where I've explained to them that what I've done for the last 25 years was really just a fraction of what I was taught in school. And that's not to say that everything that you're taught in school is not applicable, but there's going to be a learning that's going to have to continue after you graduate into your career, because technology is going to evolve. The expectations, your employers, the projects, all of these things have evolved. Right now, like I said, I'm doing a the project that I'm on right now is we built a cybersecurity platform. And I hate to say this to you, Vernon, but in AWS, where we're doing a shared services platform for cybersecurity services to 75 agencies that are our customers. And it's really, and again, all these things that we're working on today weren't even around 15 years ago, let alone when I graduated from school. So that's just sort of my word of advice to everybody, is that when you walk across that stage, and you kind of have that diploma, you don't stop learning, you continue to evolve and learn. That's it for me.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'll go next. Welcome, everyone. My name is Pooja Sangwan. I'm a senior principal with Maximus Federal. We are a technology management strategy consulting firm based in the DMV area. We do everything. We're essentially in the tech space with advanced analytics, emerging tech. We do a lot of work in business solutions as well as the infrastructure, architecture, engineering aspects as well. We're starting to work a little bit into the FedRAMP authorized cloud services, and we do a lot of work in citizen engagement centers, including the help desk and a lot of the telephony services. We also do a lot of work in the application development and modernization that also includes cybersecurity. I am a senior principal within the Federal Finance Division of Maximus Federal. I manage a few programs in the SEC, which is the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. I would say if you look at my profile, it would scream technology consultant or strategy consultant, but that was not where I wanted to be. I have an undergrad in computer science engineering, so I think that started my path towards being a technology consultant. But then I did my MBA from San Diego State, and I was very interested in international marketing and international business, and that's what my focus was during my MBA. I also graduated during the recession, so any challenges that you think that you might have during the pandemic in finding a job, I have seen those, I have gone through it. It's not something that you cannot overcome with a lot of effort and consistency and being driven and taking accountability of your own career. So the market conditions are one thing that you cannot change, but how you respond to those market conditions and how you take charge and accountability of being creative and your candidature attractive to the hiring managers, that's up to you. And a lot of folks do that. And I had to do that because as I mentioned, I graduated during a recession and I was an international student at that time. So there were a lot of hoops that I had to jump in order to get an internship, get a full-time opportunity, maintain my OPT, and then drive that into a full-time opportunity with employers. So we can talk a little bit more about that later on if there's any interest in, or I can offer my time separately to any international students who talk through those challenges. But then I worked in a lot of startups in Silicon Valley right after graduation, and that really gave me a lot of different opportunities in different spaces that I had not imagined before. So that was a blessing in disguise that because of when I graduated, I was thrown into opportunities that I would not have chosen for myself, but then I learned how to pivot my career from those opportunities into what I really wanted to do. I started my doctoral program right after that at BCU, and then that's how I got into federal consulting. I started with CMS and HHS contracts initially, but now I'm more focused strategy and management consulting in the federal finance sectors, and that's what I do for Maximus. That's it.
Thank you, Portia. We have a question from students that say, how do you sell yourself in the tech industry without being the big stamp person? Did you hear my questions?
Yeah, I could. Can you repeat that question? The last part kind of cut off for me.
So how do you sell yourself in the tech industry without being a STEM person? You know, this STEM program, STEM person, science, technology,
Yes.
engineering, and math.
Management. Yeah, I think a lot of folks, when they're hiring students from or young professionals, they're actually looking for potential. So if you think that you've learned a lot of tangible skills in school, yes, I think those are foundational skills. But as a hiring manager, when I'm looking at a candidate, I'm not looking for what languages do you know. Can you develop? Do you know analytics? Can you create dashboards? Because the way that those skills in school are very different than how we do work in the real world. And not to say that it's not translatable, but think of your learning experience in the college as just learning how to exercise your brain a different way. You're learning how to think a certain way. How you're going to use that is something very different in the real world. So sell your potential, show that you're hungry, show that you can learn new skills, like what Reed was saying. A lot of this technology didn't even exist 20 years ago. So you have to show that you can learn, you can grow, you have a growth mindset, you will take initiative, you will drive things to conclusion. I think that's what hiring managers are looking to see in a candidate, rather than what technology skills you have. Of course, certs are good. Of course, like foundational skills in STEM are great, because that shows that you have the competency at the foundational level to do that work. But it's really, people are hiring you for your potential later on. Has something to add.
Yeah, so I just wanted to reinforce that, right? So you know, as I'm looking to hire people to build, you know, our you know, whatever, you know, cloud and Web3 applications and whatever it is that we're, you know, what's the next big thing for Microsoft, whether that's quantum or space or things that we're currently making investments in. It's not just about, you know, hey, I got to hire a bunch of you know, devs who've been hardcore in, you know, Python or Java or, you know, whatever, you know, pick a language. You know, I'm always looking for people who like to solve problems, right? I'm looking for people who want to learn. and are don't ever think they've ever learned everything, because as you know, but as the other panelists said, like, you know, what I'm building today didn't exist 7 years ago, right? Give full credit to AWS for establishing sort of the hyperscale cloud market as commercial, right? Microsoft was a box software product company effectively 7 years ago. Today, you know, most of our revenue comes from cloud products. That was, you know, that would have been unheard of. So, you know, just want to reinforce that great if you've got deep technical skills, there's roles for you at Microsoft. If you are more of a technology curious person who has more of a business focus and, you know, can think along that, great. We're just really looking for people that enjoy the technology but are really interested in solving hard problems.
And the only thing I would just add to that is you know, the business that we're in, yes, it's technology, but a lot of it is really relationships, right? I think I've heard Vernon talk about his past being a trusted advisor. It sounds like Pooja has also been able to establish herself as a trusted advisor. A lot of us in our positions in our careers have established ourselves as trusted advisors, and that's because we've established through soft skills, not necessarily skills. You know, there's the aptitude of having the technical, hardcore technical skills as well, but knowing that I can be the problem solver for my client at DHS or Pooja's client, you know, or Vernon's client. They can always say, hey, you know, the next problem, I don't know how to solve it, but I know these guys are going to come up with it, because they're going to take time to understand what my requirements are, what my needs are. They're going to be able to adapt if my needs change. And then ultimately, will they be able to deliver something that's of value for me? So I think, you know, a lot of people think about having sort of an IT discipline coming out of a business school is a disadvantage. I really believe it's an advantage. And some of the better consultants on my team, because we do a lot of basically consultancy, are the ones that have a really good mix of both soft skills, you know, communication skills, writing skills, and then hardcore technical skills as well.
Thank you. Anyone has any questions? Oh, I'm going to ask you questions. So as a newly graduate, it's always difficult to get in the door. So as much as we want to emphasize hard skill and soft skill, but during the interview, how do you show your soft skill? Because a lot of time that, you know, you need time to understand a person's potential, but, you know, interview might be just a one-day event. But how do you kind of shine, you know, when you are doing interview and you want to say, I'm really interested in this company or this position, and how can you sell yourself?
Show interest, do your homework. I think that always goes a long way. The most impressed I've been with candidates and young professionals, and Maximus also hires, we do a lot of young professional hiring from right out of colleges. And one of the things that I've always been impressed is candidates who do a lot of homework. Looking at the kind of business that we're in, it shows me their level of interest. Of course, you know, everybody has to go through thousands of applications in order to land one job. And we've all been through. Even the panelists that are sitting on this panel right now, we had to go through all of that. So first of all, this is not a reflection of who you are as a candidate, but everybody has to do that no matter what the market conditions are when you're a young professional. So that's number one. Second is do your homework, understand the business that you're trying to target. So when you should really focus on, this is the kind of work that I'm doing. These are the 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 companies that are doing that work around this area. And this is the nature of the business. So being educated on what opportunity it is and the nature of business that we're supporting is definitely a plus. Second, you know, I've sometimes seen people look at and bring work products into a conversation, and that gives them an opportunity to showcase their skills effectively, saying, I did a white paper on any topic, right? Emerging tech in financial sectors. And that shows me the level of analytical skills the candidate has, and they're taking initiative. it's so much you can say in an interview, but then if you can put a work product around it, it just creates a lot more discussion and a lot of interest. Having outcome-based statements, that's always a positive. So when you say, I did something so challenging and this was the outcome, it shows me that a candidate has the analytical skills to say, I did this, but this was the outcome that it produced. So those are some examples, and I'm sure the other panelists have a lot more ideas, but you can never be too prepared for a conversation. Show interest by doing your homework and coming prepared to a discussion.
I'll add to that and just saying that when you interview and when we interview for newer members, whether it's an internship or whether it's for a fresh out of college hire, we know as employers that, again, we're going to teach you something new. We're not expecting you to come in and sort of immediately contribute and solve the problems that we haven't been able to solve. That's a skill you've yet to develop, right? And I think Pooja touched on it a little bit, but what we're looking for, at least when I do interviews, it's attitude and aptitude. And I think those are things that are able to come across in short sort of entry-level interviews. I can get a good read if you are going to be somebody that I'm going to enjoy working with. Your attitude's going to come across, your personality is going to come across in that short period of time. I don't want you to tell me everything that you've learned in your 4 years at George Mason, but I want to know that that degree and that skill set and the projects that you've worked on, again, incorporating that into your interview, is that you've been able to learn new things. And so therefore, when I need you to learn something new, you're going to have the aptitude to do that. And again, your personality, be confident. I think that comes from being prepared. Doing your homework is absolutely key, right? I don't expect you to tell me at 21 or 22 years old what you want to commit the next 50 years of your life to do, right? It's learning. What you're going to do, probably your first job out of college is probably not going to be what you're going to be doing 25 years down the line, because you're being exposed to so much new things that you're going to evolve. And so that's encouraged. I don't want you to tell me I want to be a developer for the rest of my life. I want to be a developer and I want to learn something new. And if I enjoy developing, I'll go back to development. And if I don't, then I'll find something else new. I think those types of things are easy to come across in these shorter entry-level interviews. You're not going to go, and you shouldn't go through a 3 or 4 day, process of getting an entry-level interview, because there's just so much that you can gather from somebody who doesn't have, quite honestly, that much experience.
Yeah, I just want to reinforce being prepared. When I do sort of the entry level hire / new college grad interviews, or even sort of the on campus events that we do for college grads or soon to be grads, I'm really looking for a couple of things. One is, what kind of questions you ask me, right? So are you asking the kind of questions where I can tell that you're interested in learning, two, you've done your homework and you're prepared. And the second thing is, and this is, you don't have to be passionate. I mean, you don't have to be passionate about Microsoft to come to Microsoft. It helps, but you don't have to be. But are you passionate about something, right? Is there something, are you committed to something? Is there a way that you can, that you're coming across and hey, I didn't just, look, we all get into this to get paid, right? We all want to pay our bills, want to make rent, make our car payments, so I'm not going to pretend that a lot of us don't get into tech originally for the money. But this is, this career can be challenging at times. And if you're only in it for the money, you won't always make the best decisions. And, especially in a consulting role, you always do the right thing for our clients. So it's understanding that you're in this for, I'll say, the right reasons. And that's not that hard to come across sometimes. I'll be honest, I feel for all the students who have to do Zoom interviews and Teams interviews, because that always seems, the ability to sort of judge that always seems to come across better in a face-to-face interview process. I would hate to be a new grad trying to interview over Zoom these days. That would terrify me. So, full credit to everybody that's about to go through this process. So.
Thank you. I really would like to have our students actually ask our panel questions. Hansa has this, oh, I'm sorry, that was me. Yeah, anyone has questions for our panel? No?
While we wait for the questions, I just thought of something. And it goes back to Vernon, what you were talking about. I know during the pandemic, it's challenging because of the lack of face time with the interviewer. You're not able to have that positive human interaction with the person sitting right across the table and interviewing you, because you're not seeing a lot of the body language come across. So you have to work in terms of how you're communicating certain ideas across, right? So I know there are a lot of workshops available in terms of how to be more human on when you're having a conversation over a laptop versus in person. Ask questions, bring your energy into that conversation, and trust. People can feel when you're genuinely interested and excited about an opportunity and the kind of work that you're doing. So going back to what Vernon was saying, you don't have to be passionate about Microsoft, but you have to be passionate about something. Find something before you go in the interview, and bring your energy to that interview when you're talking to somebody. And that's extremely important when you're talking to somebody on a phone or a Zoom meeting. Be, professionally dressed up, because people like that you're making that effort to show up and be prepared for a conversation. I'll give you a short example. I graduated, as I mentioned, during a recession, and I was having a very hard time finding jobs that would sponsor international students. And I got through a technical round, and I was in Pittsburgh at the time, visiting a family. I graduated from San Diego State, but I was in Pittsburgh for an interview, and I got through the technical round, and they said, "Oh, we'll schedule round 2." I actually took a plane ride, and I showed up to the office, and I said, "I'm here for my interview." And they said, "Oh, weren't you on the East Coast somewhere?" And I was like, "Yes, but I'm here because I'm really excited about this kind of homework I've done based on our first conversation. I would like for you to see it." And I was offered a job right then, right there. So take initiative. If you really want something, it will come across to your interviewer. I'm not saying like catch a plane ticket and a plane go somewhere, but I'm saying if you're really invested and passionate about a position or finding a career in a certain industry, bring that energy to that conversation and it will come through.
One question, do you think that internships is important? If so, how do students get in the internship opportunity?
Yeah, so one, yes, I think they're vitally important, and for two reasons, right? One is you get some exposure into the application of technology in a business setting, right? It's one thing to learn, about your career and what you want to do in a book, right? There's what you're learning in college, and then there's how the business actually applies that. And sometimes it could, as some of the other panelists already said, like, don't want to say, hey, you shouldn't learn what you learn in college, but half of the stuff that you're learning in college, you don't necessarily apply it the same way when you get into, especially some of these larger companies, Microsoft being sort of one of the largest beasts to manage. So one, yes, 100%, it gives you sort of a better view of how what you're learning is applied on a day-to-day basis. And the second is an opportunity to build your network, right? Like this is, and I can't emphasize this enough. And I try to sort of help, especially, my oldest daughter's 22, my youngest daughter's getting ready to graduate high school and she's going to go to Mason. So yay, Mason. Try to impress upon them that the thing that will help you the most outside of having the right skills is building a network of people that can help you find the right opportunity. So the internships are a critical way for you to build that network up in a way that probably you wouldn't be able to if you were set up a LinkedIn profile and ping, cold ping a bunch of senior executives and say, hey, I'm going to graduate from Mason and I like your company. Can we talk about it? Right? Because we're all busy. We're all trying to run businesses. But I make time out of my day every day to at least spend 15 to 20 minutes with the interns that are in my part of the sector, to make sure that, one, they get some face time, two, I understand their concerns, and three, I learn from them. Right. So and I'll be honest, it's a really great learning opportunity for those of us that are running the business to understand, what it is that they're seeing, what they're learning, what their part of the market. I don't fully understand TikTok yet. So, trying to understand how to communicate with my own daughter sometimes is something I can take away from these conversations. So I would say, yes, internships are vitally important. As far as from how you get into internships at Microsoft, I mean, luckily as a really large company, we have a formal program with yearly, recruiting cycles, and we recruit at most of actually most of the major universities. We've got a big push right now to do some work within some of the 2-year colleges and the HBCUs as well. So if anybody is interested, I'm more than happy to provide the folks on this with the link to our college recruiting and our site for how you get into all of our internships. So.
Excellent.
I'll add also from CGI, we want you as bad as you guys want us, right? I know that people are desperate when they're coming out of college to be able to find their first job. We're also looking for young talent. A big part of our recruiting and our onboarding is fresh out of college, graduates, and then of course, getting people through the seasonal internships. And the reason is because, again, we want you to like the company as much as we're going to like you as an employee, as a member of our team. And so we have, we're very involved, especially with Mason, through the career office. We do a lot. I think Riley, who's on the call with me, is our head recruiter for Mason. Her and I both did a resume clinic last week. It wasn't for us or you guys to meet us. It was really for us to help prospective, students to look at their resumes and just review them. So the reason why I say that is take every opportunity. It's not just a job fair. If there's a service that CGI or that Mason offers you through the career services or through your business school, take advantage of it. The fact that you guys are here participating in this, I know there's plenty more students that decided not to do this. These are the type of things that you want to be involved in and get exposure to. Because now the 60 of you guys on this call are going to get a link from Microsoft and a link from CGI and hopefully a link from Maximus that says, here's how you apply for our internships. So be involved and get yourself out there. It's really critically important because we want you to have internships. As many internships as you can have would be great because you would get that exposure.
Yeah, so I'll just add on to that. I mean, think of an internship as a job, but with training. Like every company that brings in interns, they create structures around the interns in order to help them succeed in their positions. So this is a job opportunity, but with training goals. What you do with those is up to you, right? I mean, it's 3 to 6 months. It could be 6 months, and hopefully it'll convert into a full-time opportunity. But like what Reed was saying, this is really an opportunity. We want you as bad as you want us, because that gives us access to young talent interested in doing the kind of work that makes us successful as businesses, but also it's a lot of young blood within our agencies, which is hard to bring without having these internship programs. Maximus is also invest heavily in internship opportunities, and we have a link at which I will just put that in the chat for early careers and internship opportunities. We're just starting a cohort for summer. We have approximately 50 positions, everything from tech to finance to HR to tech writing and everything in between finance. And so we encourage all of us to apply to positions that could be a good fit to us. Anne is also the lead for our campus recruiting. She's on the call as well. And she's a great resource for you to get in touch with and ask any questions. I will also put down The email address for campus recruiting, which is a direct mailbox that is monitored and goes through all the recruiters for all these open positions. And then you can interact with the folks there, and that's a direct mailbox to folks who are placing people on programs. So when I'm talking about internships, these are not internships that, interns go into a 3-month period and they do some kind of a case study and then come out of those 3 months with a sheet of paper or a folder. These are with actual programs that Maximus supports. So a program requests that I have 2 positions open and I have a need to hire 2 interns, focusing one on HR and one on some technical skills. Those internships are offered directly with those programs. So what you're getting access to are professionals who are working this day in and day out, and you get to shadow them and learn the skills on the job. So I think internships are really important. I have found them really meaningful many moons ago when I was a student. Take as many internship opportunities as possible. But even if you don't get the internship, what Vernon was saying, I would echo that. Create a network, create a POC that you can still engage and ask questions from. Hey, it didn't work out, but I would still like to be a part of your LinkedIn network or your networking, and then keep that dialogue open. And you never know what opportunities are going to come later on in life. But I will put both the links for our campus recruitment and the mailbox that you can email your resume. But look out for the 50 or so, still growing, and Anne is going to smile at me. I say 50 plus opportunities because we're continuing to add more internships to the subset that we have for now.
My follow-up question is, what do you think about pay versus unpaid internship?
Yeah, so I'm going to jump into this one because I have a pretty strong feeling. I think, and this, I'm going to come at this from Microsoft's standpoint, right? We pay our interns because we expect you to provide value to the business, right? You're just not there. I'll say this: you're just not there to run around and collate the presentations and do PowerPoints for me before I go do a brief to senior leadership. I expect when we have interns that they're delivering on the business, because at least our philosophy in Microsoft is, if we offer you an internship, it's because we intend at some point to hire you, right? I can't, at least in my side of the business within Azure, I cannot offer an internship without the potential of an open headcount being there for the future, for somebody, at least that intern or another intern to be moved into if they want to come to Microsoft. So one, yes, I think unpaid internships are a crime, to be honest. I do, because every business is getting value out of you. Your time is worth money, and you should value yourself that way.
Yeah, I think most companies, sounds like Microsoft, we're in the same boat as CGI. Our internships are paid internships. You're expected to, during your breaks between school, that you're doing 40 hours worth of work for 10 weeks. It's a 10-week, 40-hour work week. Because again, the idea is that we want to see if you're up for the challenge to be part of our team and whether you're going to work out. Unpaid, yeah, it seems sort of archaic to people think that they're going to get free labor and that they're going to give you, good value by you getting some experiences, especially in this area. In this area, most of us are putting you against a billing, a position, a head count, that you're providing a service to us and to our customers. And so it would be very one way for you not to get paid in an internship.
Just to add to that, Maximus also offers paid internships. What I would just add to that is, you're getting paid for 40 hours. What you learn outside of those 40 hours are up to you. Make the most out of that internship. So if there are any social events, any networking opportunities that the company has, you have access during your internship, take advantage of that. This is a learning and a growth opportunity for you, in addition to a paid internship where you're trying to learn on the job. but your job is so much more than just those 40 hours of work that you're getting paid for. So leverage this as an opportunity to learn and grow as an individual, as a professional, because this access that you're getting now is at par with anything else that you've done in college, right? Like in college, you have access to your professors and your students, but then now access to a lot of professionals. So I'll just give you an example. If you get an internship with one department and then, but you hear about some other initiative and you're interested, reach out to that person, talk to them and say, I'm very interested in that opportunity. I'm very interested in that idea. How can I get involved? So I know it's a tangent to the question, but I didn't want to focus on what you do. You are accountable for the 40 hours that you're getting paid for, but what you do with your time during that internship is up to you. Take the initiative and grow and learn from the opportunity that you provided.
Yeah, and I'll just say, add one more thing to it. Like for us, interns are employees, and I'm sure everybody treats them the same way. A lot of the benefits that are all of our employees get, the interns have the same, benefits. They have 401k if they want to participate in that kind of stuff. CGI has these things called member resource groups. If you want to be part of a member resource group during your time at CGI, during your internship, to go back to the networking that Pooja was talking about, you can join, Women in Business. You can join any of our member resource groups, and that helps you with your networking. We really encourage that for the interns. Yes, you're only there for 10 weeks while you're here, for the summer, but the reality is it's an excellent opportunity to get to know people at CGI and outside of CGI as well through those member resource groups.
Thank you. One question is about the certificate or certification. So if you are interested in cloud computing, is there any specific type of certificate? Or if you are interested in cybersecurity, do you think that certification will help students to get a job or career like in a particular industry?
Yeah, so I'm going to do the obligatory. I work for Microsoft, and yes, you should get an Azure certification, right? So, but so I'll be sort of less facetious here. No, cloud certifications are valuable, right? Like when I'm looking at folks, and I'll be honest, I've interviewed some entry-level candidates recently who came from computer science programs, and they had zero cloud interest. They really had zero cloud expertise, but they just wanted the job. Then some of the candidates showed up and they had a BA in basically business. But in the summer they had taken and gotten both their basic AWS and Azure cloud certifications. We hired the guy with the certifications because it showed that he was interested in doing the additional learning that's required to be able to deliver on what we're actually asking him to do in the business. So I as a cloud provider and I do think that those certifications are valuable. I'm not a cyber person, so I'll leave those to the others. But I would definitely say that it is a value to you to get your and I hate to say this, but it's true. Get AWS and get Azure.
Yeah, for sure. If you want to go cloud, I'll say about certs, I think there's a time and a place for certs, right? And I don't think I had any certs graduating from school. Now I have alphabet soup behind my name, and they're certs galore. And it's because I had decided that I'm going to focus my career on security. And I went and pursued cybersecurity certs. Prior to that, I know that a lot of people that are interested in cybersecurity, they'll ask me about CISSP. CISSP is something that I know people that are been in the career for 15 years, in this industry, and they still can't get it. So it's almost like an unrealistic goal to put on yourself as a, fresh out of college hire or a college student. There are other ones like Security Plus and things like that, they show that that you're interested in security. Again, I'm more interested in what you did during school. I'd like to hear more about what you've done as part of a program or a course or a capstone project, where you worked with a team versus, taking a course on Security Plus and passing a test. Again, when you get closer and further on in your career, I think there's a place where it is necessary to get certs. For no other reason other than also when our clients evaluate us, certs come up a lot. And I'll just give you a quick story. After Mason, I went to, I worked and I went to GW and I went and I got my MBA. And, part of the business school was project management. And I had a professor that said, hey, we're not going to use a textbook for our project management for this semester. We're going to use the PMBOK, for the Project Management Book of Knowledge. And he said, if you pass my course, you should be able to walk into any testing center and go get your PMP, the project management, the PMP is the project management certification. And I was, I said, well, I'm going to get an MBA from GW. And I just took a whole course on project management. I know everything there is to know about project management. Why would I care about this certification? That happens to be one of the #1 questions I get when I interview for positions is, hey, does he have a PMP? And I'm like, no, I don't. I kind of wish when I was 25 years old and I was graduating from GW that I went and took my professor's advice and walked into a testing center and got that PMP, because I always have to explain that I do have the knowledge, I do have the experience, I don't have that cert. And to say that it has limited me, yeah, probably in some situations where I probably should have gotten the job or my resume should have been considered for a project that we were bidding, the fact that I didn't have a PMP disqualified me. So that's why I kind of said there is a time and a place for the right cert when you need it, but maybe wait a little bit until you know that you really want to be in cloud, or you really want to be in cyber, or you really want to be in project management.
So I want to challenge this idea that you can get certain degrees and a lot of certs to get a job. I do think a lot of students think if I do this thing that's more tangible and I have a piece of paper that shows that I have done this, I will get an internship or I will get a job. I want to challenge that idea for everyone who's on this WebEx and I echo everything that you said, Reed. Like there's a time and place for a cert. Yes, it is meaningful for you to have the cert, but right now where you are in your career, you don't have the skills that it's going to be meaningful. Having foundational certs that you can have based on your level, I don't know if they're going to make a significant difference in your candidate for a job or internship. I would rather focus on your analytical skills, on your how you're presenting yourself and how you're articulating your ideas, way more than accumulating a lot of letters and a pieces of paper that says, I've done this cert, I've done this cert, and I have all this knowledge. Yes, you've been in school. You've been in school for a long time, but can you translate that into real world meaningful skills? I think that's more important. So yes, you can, sky's the limit. There are so many certifications available. You can kill yourself getting all those certifications, but that's not going to necessarily convert into you having internship opportunities. It's everything that we've said before. So I don't want like all the students to kill themselves in order to work towards something that's unrealistic. Later on in life, you will do your PMP. I did my PMP. I have a Scrum Master. I have my engineering degree. I have an MBA. I did my PhD coursework. Like you will do all of those things and it will come with time, but on what you've learned and use it more effectively. That's what is going to land you on your next internship opportunities.
Thank you. Now, my next question is, now looking back, do you have any specific courses that you think that, in the undergrad or in school actually help your career?
So there wasn't one that was around, but it's one that I've become familiar with that Mason offers now. And I was surprised to hear it, but that there is a course on government contracting. And I didn't realize that Mason offered a course on government contracting, but that's a very specific industry that many of you by proximity to DC will likely end up being in. It sounds like all of us on the panel are in the government contracting business. And so, yes, I took like database fundamentals and I took network fundamentals. I took all these great things. And those were, really, really great courses to take. But they weren't offered when I was around, these government contracting type classes, these things. And it goes back to my whole philosophy that a lot of us are in the relationship business. Yes, it's technology, but understanding how government contracts work will help you understand, other than the technology, how our businesses are successful. And it makes you more and more valuable to that business. So that's one that I understand that there's government contracting classes. I would absolutely take those. I don't know if they're offered in the business school, if they're offered from someplace else, but it looks like there's a minor in government contracting. To me, that would almost be a no-brainer, to be totally honest. If you plan on staying in DC and pursuing government contracting as a career, it's critically important.
Yeah, I don't think I had a lot of courses that I had a lot of fun learning about new ideas and new subjects like marketing. I knew nothing about marketing, and in my MBA I learned about marketing, and it was the most interesting thing that I ever, as an engineer, put my eyes on. But I would say anything to do with case studies and looking at a business problem and working through a solution to that is a very good, creative, practical exercise for all students to do. So look at like case studies, and I'm sure you have case studies challenges within the program in one or the other. This is the business problem, and you have to go do some market research, come up with ideas on how to optimize their solution or their market offerings. That's a very interesting way of looking at problems, because as technology majors, most of you are looking at technical problems all day long. But that storytelling around that technical problem is of so much more importance to solving a technical program, or saying we're going to use this tool or that tool or this technology to provide a solution to this business problem. But can you effectively communicate that to your audience? Which is, I'll tell you this, it'll be most cases non-technical folks in management and strategy. So can you do effective storytelling across to an audience without really going into the technical details of how you're going to provide a solution? So case studies are of really important in our world, because we're in the people business. We're in providing a solution to our customers, providing solutions to very difficult problems sometimes, and you have to look at it from all different perspectives and do storytelling. This was where we were, this is where we're going, but this is how we're going to go there. And can you take that line of thought from start to finish and do that storytelling, as I say it? So I think that would be something to look into.
Yeah, so I just want to sort of reinforce that, right? Communications, any class that gives you a good basis in being able to communicate and tell a story. I love that Pooja pointed out storytelling, right? We actually sort of teach inside of Microsoft, especially at the senior executive level, classes on how to properly tell a story, because at the end of the day, regardless of what you're presenting, right, you're presenting a case study, you're presenting your solution in an agile scrum, you're presenting before the board of directors because you want them to give you $300 million investment for your next product. It's all about telling a story for impact and an outcome, right? So I would strongly suggest that that classes in communications, the one that I enjoyed the most in sort of my journey from taking my college back in the college way back in the 80s and 90s to finishing my degree, was classes in intercultural communication, right? And understanding how to communicate across varied audiences, because that helps me in understanding how to communicate to the folks that work for me that are more technical, and communicate with the folks in my org that drive marketing, the folks that drive UI and UX, the folks that work in the finance department, and our sales organization, right? So it's really made a difference in my ability to grow my career, because I've been able to communicate across a broad section of people in the way that is that they need to hear the story itself.
Thank you. We have a kind of like follow-up questions. So this question is, how do you manage cross-team collaboration for a large-scale project with such a large business and workflow? In a way, how do you communicate with, people who have no tech background and different, supply chain, supplier and, all this kind of marketing, how do you manage that?
So maybe I can start with this. Think of yourself as the president of the United States, right? If you think about a president of the United States, he or she get a lot of questions across different domains, right? From defense to international affairs to finance to science, EPA, everything under the sun, right? As the commander-in-chief, this person does not have skills across all of these domains, but can ask the right questions and can decipher information and create a solution that is informed by all these subject matter experts in the room, right? So I have almost 200 people across my 2 different programs. I don't know, I would never claim to have the expertise that all of the folks in my team have, right? Because they're experts in what they do. As long as you can effectively communicate, create an environment where questions can be asked and ideas can be exchanged, and you can decipher information and create a path for the next steps and a decision, I think that's all you can do. So listen, be able to decipher information, ask a lot of questions. I am not going to say ask intelligent questions because sometimes you don't know enough about a certain area or domain. So you ask a lot of questions. And from those questions, decipher that information and ask counter questions and open up a discussion, and you will get a solution from the team itself, right? So it's both a science and an art, but communication is not something that it's different across different programs. And I wouldn't say like one thing that works in one program works in another space, because you might have a very diverse team members on a different side of the program. So that comes with experience. And I don't think like at this point in your career, that's something that you should worry about, because I think it would, with time and experience and managing diverse teams, you'll get that experience over time.
Yeah, so it's interesting because my job is basically to build clouds, right? Build cloud regions, and that encompasses everything from digging a hole in the ground to pour a foundation to stand up a data center to the how do we market the capabilities that we're deploying in that cloud to a very specific target audience within the Department of Defense, right? And everything in between. So it's, I've heard over, probably 70 people that work for me directly in one way or another, and about 15,000 people that deliver into what I build. And the sort of the key thing is clarity of outcomes, right? And building, I'll say, building measurable, building small measurable goals over time. Because the worst thing that you can have happen in my business is miss a problem and have it sort of have a cascading effect that you weren't aware of and miss it for 2 months, right? Especially with supply chain problems and logistic problems that we currently have, sort of the geopolitical problems we have that, Ukraine happening this weekend. There's a lot of factors that can sort of push on the outside of our business. So making sure that everybody that owns something in delivering on my business is very clear on what outcome I'm driving to, and is very clear on the sort of the, I'll say, weekly way that we're going to measure success, and how we communicate sort of slips or misses or impacts. So, but yeah, I hope nobody throws you into a job that makes you manage a logistics supply chain and a complex marketing organization all at the same time right out of college, because I know I would have not been ready for that. So
true. It's 4 p.m. now. Do you have any advice that you wish you knew when you were in college for our students, or final thoughts?
I think just sort of to go off what we just were talking about in terms of environments and looking for environments. I think you want to be able to find the right environment for you. So, ask questions and make sure if you can get internships, but make sure that first choice you make is the right one. And, and you want someplace that's going to allow you to have a voice be heard. You're going to want to find someplace that's going to allow you to make mistakes. You're going to want to find someplace that's going to allow it to be collaborative and that kind of stuff, because when we're hiring people, we're not looking for people that are looking for a job. We're looking for people that are looking for careers. We really encourage people to come because they want to be at our company, and they want to be at our company not for 2 years, not to use it as a springboard to your next job or to your job after that. It's because you want to be part of this company for your career. Now, that may not work out. You may not be there for your entire career. There's plenty of people that do, but myself included, I've only been with CGI for 3 years. I joined late in the career, but I absolutely see the benefits of targeting who you want to work for because you think they're a good match for you, not because they've got a cool name or not because your buddies or somebody that got it with that company. Try to look for the right culture that will match who you are, and yourself better than anybody else.
Yeah, I'll just say, so 2 bits of advice. One is always be your authentic self, right? The one thing I've found in my career, and I'll be honest, there are some places that won't allow you to be authentic. Leave that place immediately. I've worked jobs, I've taken steps in my career where, I had to sort of take a pause in my career growth because I realized I was not being who I wanted to be, and I was not living sort of by my principles and my ideals. So first, don't ever sacrifice who you are for money or a career. And the second is, and I'll pivot back to this, right? Just be passionate about something. It doesn't have to be passionate about what you're doing, right? Like, I happen to be lucky. I've been at Microsoft 16 years. I'm super passionate about the industry that I support and the work that I do. But this is advice I give to all my interns, my new hires, even my kids. You can either be passionate about what you can do, or you can do something that allows you to be able to do something you're passionate about. But find something that just sort of, I'll say, sort of fills your soul in a way that allows you just to be happy. And it's not always your job. It could be something outside of your job, but find something just to be passionate about.
Thank you.
I'll add to that. Focus on what you really want and go after it. If you do not know what you want, focus on trying out a lot of different things. Trying out different sectors. If you don't know what you like, try a lot of internships, work in different domains, work on different job titles, and you will find something over time that you're passionate about. I worked in many different job titles across different industries, and I finally found something that I'm truly passionate about, care about. Gives me a purpose every morning when I wake up. Having a job that's more than a title and you're making a certain amount of money versus finding purpose in your work every day is so much more meaningful. So if you know what you want, go for it. If you do not know what you want, focus on finding that. Don't wait for a lot of failures or rejections. You are your own competition. I know it sounds cliche, but you at this point in your career, you're having a lot of conversation with your friends. I already got an internship. It's paying me this much money. This is where I'm going to live. And you're probably thinking, oh my God, like everybody's got an internship but me. Trust me, all of us have been in that situation in the past. So focus on your personal growth and your personal journey. And I know it's early on, it's hard because you're still trying to find your way. But once you figure that out, that I'm my own competition, I have my own path, I will focus on my journey and not what's going around me. I think you'll land something that you're passionate about, and it's going to give you a purpose in life and a career.
Thank you so much. And thank you. All three of you came to our panel. Carrie, would you want to?
So much. We want to thank you all for attending this afternoon, and we hope you learned a lot. If you have any questions, please reach out to the School of Business Office of Career Services, and thank you so much to our wonderful panel. Have a good day good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.